Hi, and welcome to the It's Just Business podcast with myself, Richard Price. In this podcast, I interview some of the best business minds and entrepreneurs, diving deep into their business journey to get those valuable business lessons they have learned for entrepreneurs like you to succeed on your business journey. So listen up, listen in, let's begin. Hey everybody, welcome to the It's Just Business podcast. It's myself, Richard Price. And today I have a very special guest with me. And it is Murat Feimoglu. Did I get that right?
It's good enough, close enough. Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
No, you're welcome. So did I? Can you say it? I want to.
It's Murat, so first name correct. Surname Feimoglu.
Feimoglu. Okay, all right. So Murat is a co-founder of HairFare. And there's a platform for beauty professionals, I think, and he's come to share his story. So, tell us a bit about yourself. How did you come across or get started with HairFare?
Yeah, so just a bit about myself. I'm actually a chartered surveyor by trade, studied at the University of Reading. And just during the pandemic period, alongside my business partner, Omar, we decided to open up HairFare. And, how it all started was actually we've got quite a lot of friends in the hair and beauty industry, especially in the barbering side of things. And a lot of them got made redundant or were being forced to work less hours during the pandemic. And what they wanted to do was actually sort of rent space and cut their clients' hair rather than having to be forced to work less hours. They were looking for different places. And when we asked sort of how do you go about that, they just sort of were like, we go to shops with no sort of guaranteed results. We just ask them if they're renting out any chairs, and hopefully they'd hope to see sort of a sign in the shop window saying, chair for rent or barber wanted, etc. And we thought, this could be digitized. Why should these hair and beauty professionals be going around places old school, in a world dominated by Deliveroo's, Airbnbs, Ubers, etc.? Why is there nothing in the hair and beauty industry which is catered to this? At the moment, well, before we came into the space, most people were advertising chairs on generic ad sites such as Gumtree. So we wanted to sort of take that, clear lack of innovation in the industry. Why not create a platform specialized for hair and beauty professionals?
Great. So, yeah, I mean, you've identified a gap in the market.
Yeah.
And luckily you have, close people, users, the actual customers themselves as sort of, friends, and able to kind of, jump on an opportunity almost.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the time, I'm sure you're aware with your other guests, people are being made redundant, etc. We just wanted to give people an option to become self-employed, have a flexible option rather than being tied down to fixed-term contracts, which we find outdated in this market. 2021, everything's gone flexible, whether it be offices, etc. So why not the hair and beauty industry?
I think the hair and beauty industry, of course, last year have taken a huge hit. 1 minute they can open, next minute they can't. Pretty much everyone on furlough.
Yeah.
So yeah, it must have been a tumultuous time for them. This was last year. You had the idea. Did you go about developing it yourself? Are you a developer, or how, what's the launch looking like?
So the launch, the idea first initially came to us towards the end of 2019. And then we spent the bulk of 2020 actually developing it. So neither me or my business partner are developers. But again, we used our sort of personal network where we did know people who had either studied computer science or who were actually working in sort of web app development. And we contacted and we went through them and of course, we had quite a lot of challenges. Neither me or my business partner come from a hair and beauty background. So we were sort of out of our comfort zone from day one. But luckily, we did have a lot of friends in the hair and beauty industry and, other professionals who we reached out to ask, whether there is a demand and if a platform like this were to be created, what sort of features would you expect from it?
Right.
So, yeah. And, so we came over to that, just with our market research, just reaching out to people who were able to help us in the development process. And then, as you stated earlier, the pandemic didn't help us at all. Hair and beauty industry is probably one of the most hardest hit in terms of because they were just completely shut down. You don't really have the opportunity to work from home in that instance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, So that was quite difficult to handle. But it's pretty much, as long as you ask the right questions, try and get in touch with the right people. Once you get your foot in through the door, it does become a lot easier in that sense.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so was you sort of doing a lot of surveys with, these existing hairdressers? What sort of approaches were you having? Was it just, a WhatsApp group, or was you like giving them calls or emails? How was you going about your research?
Yeah. I mean, it was a combination, really. We started with our first initial network, so people who we knew, asked them their opinion, etc. And then me and my business partner, we actually just went quite old school in terms of just turning up at shops, asking people for a chat, introducing ourselves and the business, and whether they rented chairs. We wanted to assess how big the market actually was for renting chairs. And then we realized it was quite big, but there was just such a huge gap in the market in terms of it being digitized.
Mm.
So the most of the feedback we got was, it's a good idea, and if we were to pursue it, it will be a service that they would look to use.
Right. So let me understand this. So the problem is that when hairdressers are looking for a new chair or a new location, they look on these other websites like, Get Gumtree or something like that. But do they change seats all the time, like their chairs, or because I thought, I go to a barber, he's pretty much at the same shop, all year round. So there's not much movement that he's doing.
For people on fixed term contracts, yes, but 60% of the hair and beauty industry, they work as freelancers. So it's
Right.
more these people who move around. So, you say, for example, I'm based in London. If I have a couple of clients who I know very well, but they're up in Birmingham, I go up to Birmingham for, say, a week, let all my clients know that I'm going to be working from this shop in Birmingham for a week, rent that chair, and then serve them that week. Whereas
Oh, right.
a lot of people, about 40%, which is probably, what we're more used to, is, your standard fixed contract, fixed term, and you just go to the same barber every time. Whereas mobile barbers and hairdressers, etc., they're always on the move and looking for places to rent.
Interesting. Okay. But would they go to the same place? Because obviously, a barber and a hairdresser, they will build up their clientele locally almost, right? Because not everyone wants anybody close to their hair. Like, it's a precious thing. So, interested to understand that they move around, and they might have clients in different towns or different cities.
Yeah, exactly. Just because, hair and beauty is so visual, and especially with the rise of social media, through Instagram, through their social media posts, they get requests from all over the place. It's no longer just the local barbershop or the local hairdresser anymore, especially for these freelancers who are looking for work anywhere. Especially for these people, they're always on the search for a broader client base, and therefore chairs around the place. So, they may have, like you said, a set place, say in North London, but once they start getting a number of requests through from nearby cities, Birmingham, Reading, etc., they then look for a new base in that location where they might not visit as often, but it's still a requirement for them.
Okay. No, that's interesting. And so you launched last year, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, we launched last October.
It's a pretty tricky time to launch, isn't it? In the midst of
yeah, exactly.
lockdown.
It definitely came with its problems. Yeah, I mean, one thing it did help us with, though, is it gave us a lot of time to prepare the lockdown. A lot of business owners, they just want to get to the finish line. That makes them end up rushing the planning process. Whereas in the pandemic, surprisingly, we had much more free time than we would have in any other part of our lives. So we took that time to sort of plan, make a solid plan, build upon that, and make sure we would go out with the right product rather than rushing to the market to try and capture the revenue.
Right. And so, who pays on your server, like on your application? Who pays? How do you make money? What's the business model?
So how we make it at the moment is we currently take a booking fee from both the freelancer booking and also from the business owner who has listed their chair or space on the site.
Right.
So it's a commission basis. Yeah.
I see. So I've got a barbershop or hairdresser.
Yeah.
I can list my chair on your application.
Exactly.
Is it a mobile app or is it a website?
It's currently a website at the moment, but we have started
Okay.
the stage in terms of building the mobile app that's currently in development, and we hope to have that out this summer.
Okay, nice. So I can put my chair on, list it, maybe the equipment that the shop has, etc.
Exactly.
And there's a calendar, and people can just, or the barbers or the hairdresser can select what days they want to book. There's a price there. It's fixed. You take a fee. That you take payment through the website.
Exactly.
And the seat's there, ready.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's
Okay.
like we've seen in any other industry. It's just a marketplace platform. So we list all of the available chairs in a certain location, and then freelancers go through that website exactly like you said, to choose the dates they want to book, and then the fixed price will come up, and then from there we take a booking fee.
Interesting. Okay, great. And so, in your launch, how has that been? I mean, what take up have you seen? How have you sort of approached marketing and getting out? Because it's always quite a hard thing to get your name out there, to get awareness, and then after that, it's traction. So I can imagine perhaps it's been a bumpy start, given that we had the lockdown 2 months after your launch.
Yeah, exactly. So when businesses were open, we did get quite a lot of traction. I mean, currently we're in 6 cities now in that short time. So, things are looking good. I mean, just recently this week, we also got a partner in Gillingham for those people who are looking to rent chairs there. In terms of sort of marketing, we predominantly focused on the social media aspect of things, and that's mainly to do with the demographic of our potential user. So around 3/4 of hair and beauty professionals are under the age of 35. And in addition to that, hair and beauty is a very visual aspect. It's something that people see. So, it's always on social media, Instagram, etc. You see a lot of activity on there. So we focused mostly on that side of things. And in addition to that, we actually did quite a lot of work on PR. We noticed that once your name pops up in a few articles, newspapers, etc., not just client base, not just your potential client base, but also investors are much more likely to listen to your ideas and thoughts.
I mean, a few of my guests have spoken about PR, and it's a powerful thing if you get it right. How have you gone about that? What sort of strategies or tactics did you use?
Yeah, so for us, it was because our business is quite niche. It sort of pretty much caters. It's a B2B business, so it doesn't, on the whole, sort of relate to the wider public, general public. It's quite specific. So from that, we just wanted to make sure that we target specific trade magazines which cover the hair and beauty industry.
Right.
There's no reason for us to put up a billboard on a motorway because 99% of people who drive past it, the business isn't for them. So we needed to make sure that the PR company that we worked with were very focused, very niche, and very suited to what we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure that they both had a tech aspect and also make sure that they know their hair and beauty contacts.
Right. Okay. So you got an external PR company to help you with that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so just sort of playing devil's advocate here. What prevents sort of a shop owner and a barber or a hairdresser sort of going around you once they've sort of made the connection? They get they become pals. Is there anything that prevents that? How do you sort of think about that situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good question. Basically, what we do is what we found out during our market research was that there was quite a large amount of mistrust in terms of payment, where there had been issues where without a sort of secure third party, that someone would come up to a business owner, say, I'm going to rent this chair for 2 weeks, work there for 3 days, then never come back again and not pay them for the 2 weeks that they claim to be there. So a lot of business owners we spoke to were very happy to sort of do the secure payment through us, where we would hold on to the money until the end of the booking and then transfer that across to them.
Right.
Now, in terms of, there's always going to be the odd person who does try and go around your back,
Sure.
which is, but the main thing for the business owners is we give them much more exposure. So through us, if someone tries to go behind my back, that's one person you're dealing with. Whereas if you're on our platform, you've got hundreds of people around the country looking for your chair, and that's much more suitable for them. It's just supply and demand at the end of the day. The more demand you have, the better it is for the business owners.
Yeah. I always find with marketplaces that it's a chicken and egg problem, right? You got supply on one side, demand on the other side. How have you guys gone about approaching that? Have you focused more on the supply side or the demand?
Yeah, we've focused more on the supply side initially.
Yeah.
At the moment, we're more focused on getting shops and partners on board,
right,
in terms of listings, because what we don't want, so at the moment we're currently active in 6 cities. We don't want the person in, say, a 7th different city going on the website, searching their city, seeing that no results come up, and then deciding never to book with us again. Because it just makes no sense to them. So yeah, we've focused more on the side of getting business owners on board. And we have also focused on the demand side. We're in constant talks with barbering, hairdressing schools, colleges, etc.
Right.
Because one aspect we generally like to focus on is the apprentice side.
Right.
So you have a lot of newly qualified staff, apprentices, etc., who are looking for work, and especially in this market, they aren't really given the opportunity to shine or given that experience. Whereas through HairFare, they can literally go onto our platform, find a place, start earning from day one after they qualify or as an apprentice. And, it's just a great way for them to gain experience.
But I guess them renting out, an apprentice renting out a chair needs to have an element of presence, right? For them to, in that area, because they're only going to rent the chair if they got potential clients that are going to come to them. Is that right?
Yeah, no. So on our website, when a business is listing their chair, they actually get an option to choose. So they can choose how many years of experience they want the professional to have, but also the type of clients they want them to serve, whether it's just private clients or walk-ins, because you have some business owners who don't cut hair at all, and they just literally rent out all of their chairs.
Right.
And for those people, doesn't matter whether they cut private clients or walk-ins. It doesn't make a difference to them because they're making all of their revenue off the rent of the chairs.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that. So then, give me an idea of what sort of rates are these chairs going for? Yeah.
So yeah, it depends on your location, really. It's all sort of in sync with that. So if you're in, say, London Mayfair, a very high profile place where rents are generally high, it's generally in proportion to the rent that the business pays.
Yes.
So you're probably looking about 150 pounds a day per chair.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're sort of more in a city, suburban London, you're probably looking about 50 pounds a day.
Right.
If you go out to for example, we have a couple of shops in Kent, they're generally about 30 pounds a day.
Right.
So it's pretty much, usually it's in line, it's sort of in correlation to the rent that the business is paying.
Yeah, because obviously they have to cover their costs, of course.
Exactly.
It's very true. I remember you do see a lot of hairdressers and empty seats, empty chairs, and of course,
exactly.
It's sort of underutilization.
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing that we do, because whenever you go to just to get your own haircut, you'll notice an empty chair, etc. And at the end of the day, that's costing them money. Why not turn that into a profit? Because when you have a professional, a freelancer coming in, you don't have to pay them wages, you don't have to pay them national insurance, and they're completely self-employed. You're just reaping the rewards of that.
So you have two sides. You have the hairdressers and barbers. What side are you targeting more? What's more lucrative? What's an easier target to penetrate? How are you going about that?
We're both sides. We're completely on board with, and we're targeting. On the whole, it's generally the female hairdressing is generally more lucrative, because I don't know about you, but I pay about 10-15 pounds for my haircut.
Yeah.
But my mum would probably pay 50.
Yeah.
So it's that side of things. So, if you can make more money, generally they charge more rent. So it's just in correlation with that.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, no, my haircut actually has gone up since COVID. It's 25 now, which is, I think,
Oh,
appalling. I believe that you are raising funds at the moment. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
yeah, definitely. So, for any potential investors listening to the podcast, we are currently on Seedrs. So, that's a crowdfunding funding platform. And at the moment, we've been on there since sort of the beginning of last month. There's a week to go until it finalizes. We were looking to raise £50,000, and we're currently overfunding. We're at the 59,000 mark, as of right now on this podcast. And in terms of what we're going to do with the proceeds from the fund is it's going to go to the funding of the app, which is currently ongoing, marketing as well. And we also want to build a HairFare Academy. And although that's more down in the future, we are looking to use the proceeds from the fund to sort of build the foundation for that alongside merchandise as well.
Nice. How did you find that process going on a platform like Seedrs?
Yeah, I mean, to start with, it was new for both of us, for both me and my business partner. None of us had done a crowdfund before, so it was all new. And I guess you don't anticipate the amount of work that goes into it.
Yes.
To start off with, at the beginning, you're sort of like, it'll be quite easy. We just make a deck and then we put it up there, and then whoever's interested. Because I think this goes for most business owners. In your own mind, your business is perfect.
Yes.
And, doesn't need any change, etc. But, once you start going through the crowdfunding process and you see the questions that investors have for you, which sometimes can be issues that never even crossed your mind.
Yeah.
You do sort of think to yourself, oh, I never thought about it from that side of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely it's been challenging, but it's definitely been rewarding. For a tip for any sort of someone looking to make a startup, definitely I would recommend going down the crowdfunding route.
Did you have any sort of family and friends like saying, yeah, I'll put 10,000 in or whatever?
Yeah, definitely. So it's actually something that the crowdfunding platforms recommend.
Right.
So before you actually go live on their platform, they'll want sort of a certain amount guaranteed beforehand.
Right.
And that generally comes from your personal network, so friends, family, etc. And yeah, so basically what we did, we initially went to friends and family, and we got quite good interest from them as well. And also, we just went on site, LinkedIn, etc., looked for investors who we think might be interested, and just reach out to them directly with our pitch, etc., and asked if they could get on board with the Seedrs crowdfund.
Oh, nice. Did you see much success with that, or?
Yeah, surprisingly, quite a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Because literally, if you just another tip for the guys out there, if you are looking for an investor, if you go on LinkedIn and just type in angel investor, VC, whatever, you see a whole list of people come out, and there's no harm in reaching out to them, because at the end of the day, they're looking for things to invest in as well.
It's a bit of online schmoozing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good stuff. So, I mean, we're in 2021 now. Lockdown is, when the UK is starting to lift. What are your sort of plans after, this raise, and also, now you have a bit of cash in your pocket?
Yeah, definitely. So our plan is to continue growing. We want to become the leading brand in the chair rental space. When we want to give business owners the option that, I don't have to get everyone on fixed term contracts. I can eliminate the huge cost that is wages and get freelancers to fill my chairs. And likewise, we want freelancers to have the opportunity that, I can be my own boss. I can be mobile. I don't have to be stuck somewhere, and just give them an option of a different way of working. In terms of, now that we've got a bit of cash in our pocket, the app is the main thing. At the moment, we have a website. We knew that we wanted to do an app. We were probably thinking of doing that first, but we just wanted to sort of gauge whether there was a demand in the product. So we went for the website first, just because that was much more cost effective at that stage.
Yeah.
And then apart from that, in the future, we're looking to do our own HairFare Academy, which basically is we would take, aspiring hair and beauty professionals teach them the trade within our business partners' premises. And then from there, they can become qualified, and that will bring a steady inflow of professionals into the app. So you literally take them from the beginning to the end. Apart from that, yeah, I mean, you probably know the hair and beauty industry, it's not very innovative. It's very old school. You know, I'm sure the same way your parents went to the hairdressers, etc., hasn't really changed much for us today within the last how many years. Whereas every other industry, they've all embraced technology. And, you know, that's what we want to do. And that's a challenge that we've had, is basically, and it's a very big challenge, is change the way that people think and the way that people work. You know, people don't like change. And when we come in and we say, you know what, I can save you this much money, I can make you gain this much extra revenue, even though it's appealing, sometimes they just don't want the change and they're happy with the way they are. So, you know, that's a big part of our business in terms of, you know, just managing that change, because, you know, the hair and beauty industry turns over like £8 billion a year. So, you know, technology has to come in, otherwise it won't survive at that projection. We'll end up going down a downward spiral.
Or plateauing, you know, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Have you considered, you know, there are sort of these wellness apps and hair booking apps out there. Have you considered how that fits into your model? Perhaps there's some synergies there in terms of a barber or a hairdresser, you know, buys a chair, and then they are able to be booked through a third-party application.
At the moment, it's definitely something we've thought about in the future in terms of doing sort of maybe a B2C sort of application in the future. But at the moment, our main focus is just, you know, focus on what we do and make sure we do that really well before branching off to other things. Now, so for example, you know, you have companies like Treatwell, for example, who are massive in that space.
That's it.
Whereas what we do is much more niche, and because it really hasn't been done before in the UK, you know, there's a company in the States who do pretty much exactly the same thing we do. And they've grown quite a lot. And, you know, we're focusing on that model at the moment and trying to build that in the UK and hopefully internationally in the future.
How many roughly, or how many are you targeting, locations or shops? What do you have at the moment, and how many are you targeting to get on your platform by the end of the year?
At the moment, we have 40. We have 40 shops at the moment. By the end of the year, our projections are at 250. You know, based on lockdown coming down, you know, because though the 40 that we have were pretty much all acquired between October and December.
Right.
After that, all the shops closed down. So even when you did call them up, they basically said, you know, call us back when lockdown ends. And it's now, you know, within the last few weeks after, you know, the Prime Minister's announcements of easing, that we've started to see more and more demand on that front. But no, definitely. I mean, to be honest, it's a conservative estimate at 250. You know, if we've got 40 shops in 1-2 months, you know, there's no reason. In all honesty, we'll probably achieve double that.
Yeah. It's always nice to, you know, have a goal, which is good, but then something that you can blow through.
Exactly.
As long as you don't rest on your laurels and think, you know, you get 250 by June and then you're like, all right, that's it. You know, we're done for the year.
Yeah, exactly. No, definitely. Working hard all the time. We're always looking on how we can grow the business, new locations. And, you know, our aim is just to be, by the end of the year, in every major UK city.
Could you just tell us why did you want to go down this path of entrepreneurship?
To be honest, you know, my dad's owned his business ever since I can remember. And so it's been drilled to me from a very young age, you know, entrepreneurship. You know, you can only go so far working for someone else. You know, you need to focus on yourself and build your own dream rather than work for someone else. So, you know, that was definitely drilled into me at a young age. And then when my business partner came to the idea to me for HairFare, you know, it was a no-brainer. So even though, you know, did have a good job coming out of university, you know, definitely entrepreneurship is definitely more of the style for me. And it isn't for everyone, you know, that's something that's fair to say, you know, it's not really made for everyone to become an entrepreneur. But yeah, definitely, you know, my dad's owned his own business ever since I was, knee height. And, I spent a lot of my weekends and, teenage years working there on the weekends, during school holidays, etc.
Yeah.
And, from there, I just thought, you know what, if he can do it, why can't I? And now, since October,
you're on the journey.
We're on the journey. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I guess you've seen from your dad, you have the highs and the lows of being a business owner. And it's
definitely
you're in the honeymoon period, I guess, at the moment, perhaps. But
exactly. No, I mean, the pandemic definitely cut the honeymoon period short for us.
That's true.
We launched in a time where not much honeymoon, not honeymoon period. But yeah, since then, we've had ups and downs, and now that everything's looking to go normal in the market, definitely looking up and forward.
So have you, did you have to leave your job?
Currently I work both. So, but after the crowdfunding is complete, so in about a week or two's time, we will be going full time with HairFare.
Right. Okay. And sort of how long have you given yourself before you can, sustain yourself, or before you need to raise more funds or etc.?
Yeah. So our aim is that with the funds coming in, that will help us for the next 2 years, because we have very low costs at the moment, because, it's basically just the maintenance of the platform. We don't have an office, we're not paying any rent, etc. It's a purely mobile business. So, we're looking for that to take us for 2 years. And then in 2 years' time, we're looking to do another crowdfund, which is when we would grow at a much higher rate, more exponentially, and we'll need to we'll have much higher costs because, we have a lot more staff, etc. We'll probably look to get an office, etc. at that point.
It could be sooner. Could be sooner than 2 years. Could be next year.
Why not? Aim high.
Exactly. I mean, have you looked at this similar opportunities abroad, like in France and Spain?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're definitely at one point we would look to go international. We want to secure the UK market. We're both from the UK.
Of course.
We've grown up here. We understand the market quite well. But then, there's no reason why we can't take it abroad. I mean, the hair and beauty industry is an industry that will never die, because, everyone's always going to need haircuts. Everyone's always going to need, makeup done, etc. Everything in the hair and beauty industry. And it's an industry that's active in every single country in the world. So there's no reason why we won't be able to tap into markets abroad.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think with marketplaces that you are able to scale a lot quicker and easier, because you just don't need too much operational overhang.
Exactly.
That's great. Right. I know we can talk haircuts and barbering for days, but unfortunately, I know you're a busy man. Any sort of parting words that you would give to other sort of business owners and entrepreneurs that are just perhaps starting out or thinking about starting out?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first thing is, don't expect your business to be a home run from day one. In your mind, your idea is brilliant. It's the next big thing. However, it does take time to build trust, with clients, etc. A new name, it's a new name. People like what they know. And if you're a startup who's planning to change the way that people think, and it's a new pioneering idea which hasn't been done before, it's definitely going to take time for people, not just clients, literally anyone, to believe in you, because people tend to focus on what they know, and if you bring them something that they don't know, there's always that bit of hesitation. And until you get the ball running, you're always going to face a bit of resistance. But once the ball's running, you have that domino effect where one person gets on board, next thing you know, you've got 100 people on board, and it just keeps growing. Yeah,
that snowball effect. Exactly.
Great.
All right. Well, where can people find more about HairFare?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can check our website out, www.hairfare.co.uk. All of the questions are there. We have an FAQ page, so if you have any questions, they're generally there. You can also email me, so it's Murat, Murat, @hairfare.co.uk. And then, any questions anyone has about the business model, etc., we'll be happy to be in touch with them.
Fantastic. Well, Murat, super thank you for joining us and sharing your story. I wish you all the best for this year. I hope you blow that 250 out of the water. We'll get you on the show again for the next round.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you to all the listeners who are going to tune in.
Thank you.